Hey guys, how are you? We are going to be doing a wear test of the brand new SURRATT Beauty Perfectionist Primer. I talked about this in my last Will I Buy It video, and I was going to pass on it. I was going to buy it, and then when I read the description for it, I was like, oh, maybe that's not for me. Because I think this is more geared towards normal to oilier skin types, and I have a very dry skin type. But Beautylish sent this over to me to review, and I thought, you know what? I bet there's a lot of SURRATT lovers out there, much like myself, that have dry skin. So I thought, let's give this a shot. So I'm going to be applying this to half of my face, and then we'll be doing pretty much like a full face of SURRATT. I pretty much have most products from the line. So that's what we'll be doing today. And then I will report back. I will pin a comment down below with how it wore, my thoughts on it, etc., etc. So let's go ahead and get started. I have nothing on my face. I just have skincare. So there are the ingredients for this product, and I can barely read it because it's like light gray on dark gray. But when I hold it up like this towards the light, I think you guys actually have a better chance at reading this. So there aren't that many ingredients in there, so I think that's probably good enough. I'm gonna go ahead and open it. I don't even know what the packaging looks like. Oh, it's in a tube. I get the feeling there's a pump at one end. Yes, so it's a tube with a pump. And let's see, it is 1 fluid ounce, 30 mils. And I'll leave all of the details down below in the description box because I can never remember prices, etc., but I'll link to it and list everything down there. And, oh, this is made in the US. That's surprising. Most SURRATT products are made in Japan. So this is made in the US. Awesome. And this product is good for 6 months once you start using it. All right. So I just have to remember, like, mentally just to put it on one half of my face. I feel like just out of habit, I'm just going to start spreading it everywhere. There are no directions or anything on here. I do think that there's information on the SURRATT site. All right. So just the high points of this description here. It is formulated with a blend of oil-absorbing powders. I think when I read that, I was like, maybe not for me. Eliminates shine and dullness. It's pore blurring. It's skin softening. And it's meant to help the longevity of your foundation and help it look more even throughout the day. It is lightweight. It has a silky finish. There's no pilling, no creasing, and it's supposed to be suitable for all skin types. So for tips, it says to use a pearl-sized amount to cover your entire face. That is not a large amount. So I'm just gonna squeeze out just the teensiest bit for half of my face since we're doing a little bit of a test here. Oh God. I feel like I'm just gonna pump out too much, aren't I? Oh. Okay, do we think that's half a pearl? So it is quite runny and it does have a white color to it. So since I have it in my left hand, I'm gonna put it on the left side of my face. That was definitely not enough. I'm just gonna put it all over. Eyes, around the nose. Sorry, it like slipped between my fingers, so I'm trying to make sure I get it all. I'm just gonna pump out just a little bit more. I don't feel like I got a nice even coverage like on my cheek area here. What is that? It definitely, like to the touch, it definitely feels silky, for sure. It definitely feels really, really smooth. But as I was actually applying it and like rubbing it into my skin, it did feel dry. Like I could almost feel like when I did this, you could almost feel that it kind of like turns to powder, if that makes sense. It just sort of like, there was no slip or glide to it. It just kind of like would stop. I think that's why I felt like I didn't have enough product on, but I think I'm going to stop there. I don't want to put too much on because my skin definitely feels like really smooth. Oh yeah, it feels really smooth on this side. It's so interesting. Usually when I feel like really smooth on my skin, it feels very silicone-y. It has that like kind of crazy slip to it, but this actually kind of feels powdery. Like powdery but silky smooth. All right, so before I put foundation on, I just want to see if I can see any difference there. I think it's left like the slightest bit of a white cast. You could probably see it on my cheek here versus this side. So this side does not have primer, and then this side has the primer. And I feel like I see like the littlest bit of a white cast there. So it's not completely transparent. I would say it's definitely translucent. And my skin definitely looks mattified. It really looks like I put a little bit of like powder on this side of my face, but it doesn't feel drying. Wow, so interesting. You know, I'm always so like hyper focused on things that are meant for dry skin that I never try products like this. So I don't know if this is like a unique sensation, like a primer that actually feels like a silky powder on your face. It's really cool. Okay, moving on. Let's go ahead and actually apply some foundation and see if the application changes with the primer side. So I'm going to use my favorite, I almost said my favorite SURRATT foundation, but this is my favorite foundation at the moment, and it is the SURRATT Dewdrop Foundation. I have it in the colors 3 and 4, but I'm feeling really pale lately, so I just pulled out 3. I think that's gonna work just fine. All right, I've got my Refer number 17 brush here. It's like just a flat top kabuki brush. Dot some on here. I don't think I've ever done this before. I don't think I've ever tested out a primer this way on like half of my face. This foundation, if you're unfamiliar, it's a very light coverage foundation. It has really lovely radiance to it, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh yeah, it definitely spread a lot easier on the primer side. Like I can still see the streaks of the foundation here, and I didn't. It was like immediately blended in, you know, versus this side. I'm just gonna grab a little bit more straight off the back of my hand and get around my nose here. And then just get my forehead. On my forehead, I feel like the application looks very, very similar. I do feel like maybe it did take like less brush strokes to kind of like blend it in on the side with the primer, but it just takes a couple more like passes to get it completely blended in. So I don't think that is a huge deal. Yep, this side of my face definitely feels a little tackier. This side definitely feels a little bit smoother. And I'm just kind of taking a close look here. Yeah, at the moment, I don't feel like I see that much of a difference just in appearance. Like I said, it feels a little bit different. I do feel like there is just the slightest hint more coverage on this side, and I think that's probably because the primer itself had a little bit of that white cast in there, but I feel like you can see the redness in this cheek a little bit more than in this cheek, but it's almost imperceptible. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and apply some light makeup here. I do have a lot of SURRATT products here. I have one blush that fell out, and then I have a whole bunch of eyeshadows. So I'm gonna go in actually with this color right here for a little bit of bronzer slash contour. And I believe this one is Grisaille, but I will list everything down below in the description box as usual. So I love these artistic blushes from SURRATT. They're so beautiful and smooth, and they just apply like a dream. So let me find the proper brush. I'm gonna use my Sonia G Sculpt 1 brush and go into this contour shade. And I'm not putting any powder down because I want to see like this primer in action all by itself. I feel like if I put powder down, that'll really help with longevity and all of that stuff and mattifying and all the other stuff that it claimed. So I'm just going to leave powder off. Just going to go straight in with this contour here. And then for blush, I'm gonna mix these two blushes over here. This one is Cherubique, and this one is Barb a Papa. So I'm gonna take my Sonia G Cheek Pro brush and go between these two. Oh, I should be using my SURRATT brushes, right? Oh, I just have to find them in the sea of brushes. Anyway, I'm gonna go in with this Cheek Pro brush and just lightly dust this over my cheeks. I think what I love the most about the SURRATT blushes are the color selections. Just absolutely gorgeous. And the two that I picked have like a satin sheen. And the satin sheen just adds this like beautiful brightness without any bits or looking chunky or anything. It's just so smooth. And you get this like beautiful wash of color. And I love the longevity. That's the other thing I love about SURRATT blushes. I do find that some blushes, they fade very quickly, but SURRATT blushes never, ever fade on me. All right, there is a nice healthy amount of blush. You guys know how much I love blush. And let's move over into highlight. I'm gonna use my SURRATT angled cheek brush. Does he call this the sculpting brush or the contour brush? Something like that. Anyway, this is the only angled cheek brush he has in his line. So I'll link all the brushes that I'm using down below as well. So I'm gonna go into these two highlight colors. You can see I dug my nail into that one. I was pretty pissed off when I did that. But this peachier highlight is called Coup de Genie, and this one is Oriole. So again, I'm gonna go between the two and just lightly sweep that across. All right, cheek products are applied. I'm gonna move over to the other side and start using these eyeshadows. This palette, by the way, is from Adept Cosmetics, and it is freaking awesome. It's a little heavy. I wouldn't say it's travel friendly, but I would say if you have like precious products, like products that are really, really precious to you and you want to keep them very safe, I would get one of these palettes, and it has this really sturdy plastic divider in between. I actually have different eye products from SURRATT, not just his artistic eyeshadows. Let me go ahead and dig those out. All right, I pulled out one of these lid lacquers. These are like kind of this interesting hybrid between an eye gloss and just a cream shadow. And I really, really love these. If you use it just a nice light layer, and I'm just gonna go ahead and use my finger and just tap it on, you just get this beautiful subtle color. This is Hadaka, by the way, this color. And there's a whole slew of colors. There's like a red color, I can't remember the name of it, but there's like a red color that I really love. And if you use like just a nice light layer to kind of give your lids like a wash, I don't find that you have creasing problems. I think if you kind of lay it on thick, you'll end up with like a little bit of creasing. But when I like just blend it out and really work it into the lid, I feel like it stays put. It's really, really awesome. All right, there is the lid lacquer in Hadaka applied. I'm gonna go ahead and apply some powder shadow on top just to give it a little something. I have this one shade in here called, I believe it's called Star. Yes, here is Star, and it's just this like crystalline, beautiful, beautiful color. I'm gonna go in with this Chanel eyeshadow brush. It's like a flat shader. I'm gonna go into Star, and I'm going to pat that on just onto the inner corners there. And because these lid lacquers don't like set down completely, they almost act as, I don't want to say a glue, but the eyeshadow really sticks to it nicely. And I'm just patting, I'm not kind of like rubbing or anything because I don't want to disturb the lid lacquer underneath. And then I'm going to take this shade, which I think is pronounced Pkwy, C-U-I-V-R-E. It's like a mid-toned brown with like maybe a hint of peach in there. I'm just gonna use the same brush and just apply some to the outer corner here. It's just a little bit deeper than the Hadaka, so I'm just adding a little bit of dimension there. All right, and then I'm gonna take, this is Brun Noir, so just a really dark brown, and I'm gonna line my eyes. I've got my Rephr number 3 brush, and I'm just gonna line my upper and lower lash line with this. Oh, and before I forget, I know Rephr is looking for feedback on this particular eyeliner brush. So basically what they'll do is you can order this brush, which I know is ready to ship. They have it in stock. They'll basically like credit your account online the dollar amount of this brush, and you can use it towards anything else. So you're basically getting this brush for free. They just want some feedback from you guys on this brush. So if you guys are into that, you should definitely check it out. I will leave a link down below to their concept store, which is not an affiliate link. I do have an affiliate link with Rephr though, and that is only for their complete brush set. And you get a bonus number 22 brush, which is their bronzer brush, which I love. So that entire complete set with that bronzer brush is like a $550 value. But with my code, which again is all down below in the description box, you can get it for $2.99, which is really, really great. All right, as for eyebrows, I have a SURRATT brow pencil and then the brow pomade, which is awesome. It's clear, but it really like helps keep your brows in place without them feeling too crunchy. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill in with the brow pencil, which is refillable, and I believe I have the darkest shade in here. I think it's called Raven. I'm not sure, but it is the deepest color, and look at how fine that tip is. It's so good. And then the other end has a spoolie. And here is the brow pomade. I know it looks white, but it definitely dries clear, and it's got this like little brush on it. It's so cool. I'm hoping in the future they'll come out with tinted ones, because right now this is the only one, this clear one. And then I've got my SURRATT lash curler. I'm gonna go ahead and curl my lashes. And I do have a SURRATT mascara, but it is still in the box and I don't want to open it up. I know I say that about a lot of mascaras I have. I'm just constantly trying to use up the ones that are already open. So I just took out my Chanel Inimitable, is that what it is? Inimitable waterproof mascara. I like this mascara. I don't think it's a favorite of mine, but it's a very kind of like natural looking mascara. I don't feel like it's especially volumizing, you know, it's actually a little bit more separating, which I like. And then to finish it off, I'm going to go ahead and use one of SURRATT's lip slicks in Nude de Soleil. I love this color. It is like just such a beautiful nude, and this formula is amazing. They're really, really like slick, like the name suggests. I just love these, and they're like kind of sheer. They just give you like such a beautiful level of pigmentation. All right, so here is my finished look. I'm actually just doing kind of like a quick side-by-side comparison again of my primer and primerless sides of my face. I don't see much of a difference between the two sides at the moment, but like I mentioned, I will take a look at my face tonight before I wash everything off and leave a pinned comment as to how it wore and if I do see any differences, if I thought it was helpful in any way, or if it did a disservice to this foundation, because I do love this foundation a lot. But I will let you know down below in a pinned comment. All right, well, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.